welcome to another episode of the Philosophy Podcast. I am your host, Controversy, and to my right, ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, as always, Mr.
Darren Love.
And together, we are the Philosophy Podcast. Thank you to you guys for tuning in to a brand new episode. Thank you for tuning in once again this week, guys. And like we always say, what is on the agenda for this week, mate? What is today's
hot topic?
That's it. What are we talking about, mate?
Well, it's New Year's Day.
It's New Year's, yeah, exactly.
So I thought we'd sort of talk about
Happy New Year's,
Happy
mate.
New Year,
Happy New
everyone.
Year's to you, mate. Happy New Year's to all you guys out there that may watch and see this and show love, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
2004.
2024. Happy New Year. More life, more blessings, more prosperity, more everything. One love.
So I thought that's what we're talking about, really. Sort of like, what is New Year's Day? You know, why do we celebrate it, really?
Well, this is a rabbit hole we're going to go down here again now. You know I like to go down the rabbit hole sometimes, mate. You know how it goes. But the new year doesn't actually begin in January. If you want to really get technical about it and be like, you know. The new year actually begins in April. When spring comes around, everything starts to grow again. Everything starts to regenerate and rebirth, essentially. Flowers that have died and whatever have been now come back to life, been revitalized, and everything's growing. And the new year, many years ago, was celebrated in spring because people understood that's when everything would start to grow again. That was the beginning of the new year, the new cycle of everything, of life and etc. But over time, obviously, we now know people celebrate the new year come end of December going into January. So it's a little bit, but it's not really New Year, which is quite funny that we celebrate the new year then. And some people will say it doesn't matter, and I would say probably yeah, I agree with you. It really doesn't matter, really. It's, but just just to be technical with it and to be historical essentially with it. The new year was everyone knew the new year would start in spring. It come end of March going into the beginnings of April kind of thing.
So I think like when winter's over,
yeah,
it's when the days start getting longer.
Correct, and that's when the new year comes.
When the flowers start growing. More, I mean, you do get winter flowers spring out, but generally, sort of in the springtime, everything's growing. Including sort of like the birds. Actually, they're all nesting at that time of the year,
breeding,
and it's But yeah, it's interesting why we actually celebrate.
Yeah.
Some people celebrate it with fireworks, don't they?
True.
Sort of like New Year's, especially sort of in London, Paris.
Yeah. Big cities.
Big cities. And that, they spend a fortune on fireworks every year. It's And I just wonder why people celebrate it so much. Because I mean, I personally, I celebrate every day. If you see what I mean. So I don't know. Sort of like I don't see why they celebrate just that day. But I just sort of think every day is. I mean, every day I'm getting older. Basically, I'm sort of. I think really, the more older you get, the more successful you are in life.
Yeah.
In a kind of way, because you've survived for so long in a very difficult world. If you see what I mean.
But then you think it's quite funny. Just like everything else, these people have programmed people and indoctrinated people into celebrating the new year halfway through winter. Essentially, because that's when it is, isn't it? It's halfway through winter. Got another couple of months of winter to go, and then it'll be springtime again. Bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bless you. So isn't it funny that people are programmed and people don't even think about this stuff? If you see what I mean, ever think about these things? If you see what I mean, like, a lot of people do shit and follow certain customs and certain traditions and certain cultural things that have been embedded into their society, where they've grown up, where they live, what country they are, their family values, etc. And sometimes people don't even question these things and actually ask the question, why? Like you said, why have they programmed us to celebrate the new year halfway through winter? Because it makes no sense. Just from a logical, critical thinking perspective, it makes no sense, if you see what I mean. Like,
no, like last week we were talking about Christmas and celebration again, weren't we?
Yeah.
So this is a bit like celebration, talking about celebration again. Why do we celebrate, you know?
But even Christmas, like I was talking about in the previous episode, Christmas is all about the festival of Saturnalia. And if you've ever heard of a deity called Krampus, yeah? It used to be a Scandinavian deity, a Scandinavian folklore deity, yeah? Named Krampus, yeah? And it was like some weird shit going on, if you see what I mean. I can't remember all the mythology and the folklore behind it. But if you want to know more about Christmas and where that whole Christmas kind of things with Santa Claus, yeah? Or, you know, look up Krampus, something called Krampus. It's a Scandinavian folklore mythology. And that was the very early origins of Christmas, yeah? And it eventually the Romans turned it into something called Saturnalia, which was the festival of Saturn, where they used to, for 1 week, they would have feasts and sex orgies and all sorts of shit, all sorts of weird, random shit, just celebrations going on, getting drunk, etc. And that's what it was all about, if you see what I mean. And funny enough, like, you could research it as well and look it up. Like, the ribbons that used to be put on Christmas trees, yeah, used to be symbolic of male sperm, essentially. Those ribbons were something that was, you could actually research it. It was the ribbons that were put on the tree was something that was supposed to be symbolic of the male sperm going up. And the balls that people hang on the tree, the Christmas balls, were actually a reference to the male testicles. Genitalia, the male's balls, testicles, if you see what I mean. Hence why they put balls on the tree, yeah, and the ribbons. But this is another thing that a lot of people are unaware of, and they don't really understand, like the origin. They don't really look up the origins of shit, like, if you see what I mean, where it originates from and where it comes from, and where a lot of this, like that whole Krampus thing, that was some weird, like you have to look it up, but it's some weird, almost like some satanic, like some kind of weird shit going on there. And the fact that people used to celebrate this and then eventually turn into Christmas and etc. It's just like, and how we are just taught to practice these things and
it's sort of like brainwashed from school, aren't we? Really?
But that's what it is.
As
Brainwashing.
soon as you go to school in the first year, really, they're sort of like setting up sort of plays at Christmas time. Do you know what I mean? You know, you're normally sort of in a play, aren't you? Doing, you know, someone's playing Mary, someone's playing Joseph.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's brainwashed at an early age, all this, do you know what I mean? This kind of structure, what we're living in. You know? And then by the time you leave school, whether you run away or not, this is the way it is, you know. It's like Thursday, Monday, then Friday, and then Saturday, you know, weekend. Yeah. It could be different, you know, if we designed it different, you know, we could change it if we wanted to, I think, you know. We could change the whole calendar, you know. Yeah.
Well, it's funny though, because like in Ethiopia, I think they're like 7 or 8 years behind us.
Are they?
Their calendar.
Yeah. Well,
the calendar, like I think
the Chinese calendar is different, isn't it too?
Yeah, but I don't know what year. I don't know what year it would be for them. But I know for a fact that in Ethiopia, the country of Ethiopia in Africa, obviously at one point Ethiopia was made of Africa. You know, it was most of Africa before it got divided up and etc. But yeah, Ethiopia, their calendar, I think it's like 8 years behind ours. So if it's 2024 next year, for them, it's going to be 2016 next year.
That just shows you how silly all things are.
Yeah. Because they follow the original calendar. They don't follow the Gregorian calendar, which is the newer. The calendar that we follow today is something called the Gregorian calendar. But before they had something different, another calendar. I can't remember the name of it. But anyone out there that's done the research and knows what I'm talking about knows that there was a previous calendar, if you see what I mean, but then it was changed. If you see what I mean.
I mean, there's one particular year, I can't remember exactly, I think it might be 400 BC or something like that, or maybe 50 BC, I just can't remember right. But they said it's 15 months in a year. They just changed it 1 year, the Romans, you know, so they had control. And they put 13 months in 1 year. Yeah. Just to sort of reshuffle things.
Well,
Julius Caesar come in. When Julius Caesar come in.
But the original thing was 13 months in a year, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And I tell you why too, because there's 13 moon cycles.
Okay, yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So originally it was 13 months.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
But then they changed it to 12 months, if you see what I mean. I think, and they also changed it as well because even July was based on Julius Caesar.
Yeah.
He incorporated himself when, like you say, when the Romans were in power, and when Julius Caesar was emperor of Rome.
I don't know what year that was, alright, but when he come into power, that was a year when they had 15 months.
Yeah.
Instead of just 12,
okay.
13, whatever, you know. I don't know what, they were just sorting out the government because it was a new government, you see.
Okay.
So they needed longer to think about things, you see. That's why they put more months in the year. I don't know. But, you know, it's confusing really, isn't it?
Well, I think once you understood the cycle of the sun, it's a cycle of the sun and the moon, essentially. So once you figure out that, once you observe that long enough, you realise you eventually can count how many days there would be in a year. If you see what I mean, for the sun's full transition, if you see what I mean, every year. So that way, it's, you know, so I think over time that's essentially just what happened. People were able to observe how many days there were. You know what I mean? They would add, you know, they would count the days up until the sun's final transition, and then it starts again. If you see what I mean, they would be able to tell. If you see what I mean.
Well, it's like me, you know, when I was younger, I kind of knew there was a winter and things like that, but you know, it's only now I'm nearly 60 years old. I've seen the sun so many times, and the moon, whatever, and the years and the winters. Do you know what I mean? I'm kind of working it out, if you see what I mean, and things, you know. And I feel like the older you get, the kind of it's probably sort of all worked out by all people in the kind of way all this. Do you know what I mean? And all the rules set down and a long time ago in ancient times, and we're still running by this system today. If you see what I mean, you know, going by this timetable and clock. And who can stop it? No one. No one, can they? Who's got the power to change what, you know, this structure we got? Because I mean, is it correct, you know, as I say, like Christmas Day, is it really when Jesus died? You know, is it the correct day? Or was it when sorceress or something?
Oh, you mean the birth? You mean the birth? Well, they say it's the birth of Jesus Christ, December 25th.
No, it's April. You know, sort of Easter.
But again, no, it's not, because if you look up Easter, for example, I spoke about Christmas in the previous episode. So if anyone really wants to have a bit more information about Christmas, then please check out our previous episode that we released last week, which was kind of about Christmas and other celebrations as well. But Easter is about something called, there's a deity called Ishtar,
right? Yeah,
which is spelled with an I. Yeah, Ishtar, a female pagan feminine goddess.
It sounds like Easter to me. Is it? Like
but
Easter.
But that's where Easter comes from.
Easter.
Yeah. But
Easter.
it's Ishtar.
Yeah,
which was a female pagan mythology-based goddess, is where Easter comes from. Because rabbits don't even lay eggs. First thing first.
Might have done a long time ago.
Rabbits don't lay eggs, mate.
No, I know.
And this whole thing of, it's, again, there's some weird shit behind it. If you actually look up the mythology behind Ishtar and the celebrations of what was going on then, like if you want to look it up, go to Google. If you want to know more about it, go to Google and type in Ishtar, which is spelled I-S-H-T-A-R, I believe. And you'll know more about that if you see what I mean. And it was again some really weird shit behind it too. Some strange shit.
Like Halloween
and even Halloween. See how they incorporate all these holidays into our lives that people follow blindly. Don't think about it. Don't question it. Don't ever, But a lot of it is just some weird shit that they just got people giving energy to every year. Every year, people are giving their energy and their money towards these celebrations every year. These holidays, whatever you want to call them, every single year. They're giving up all their money, all their energy. What do you think that is? These people are smart. These people have got people programmed to give them their energy and their money. You know? And at the same time, what they do is divide us in the meantime. Keep us divided to the point where we focus on everything else but the real problem. And then, you know, have us giving all our energy, all our money, all of our everything else towards these things, if you see what I mean. And they just be behind the scenes, they're probably laughing at us. They're probably thinking, look at all these fools, you know what I mean? Look at all these...
It's silly really, isn't it?
You
like, you know, like, Halloween comes up. That's October time, isn't it? Yeah. October. And you're getting your kids to put blood on them.
Yeah.
You know, your kids are putting blood on themselves and things like that, dressing up and putting makeup on and, you know, just making them look quite scary or something, you know what I mean? Some people do dress up quite scary, do you know what I mean? And probably some kids are having nightmares, you know what I mean? You know, and it's a bit silly really. The next few months later, you're sort of like putting angel wings on your door, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then
well,
Christmas,
even with Halloween, anyone out there that knows anything about the occult and all these people that do practice like satanic rituals and all these type of shit, yeah, you research Halloween, again, there's some weird satanic shit behind it. And that's one of the, even if you research anything to do with the occult, if you look up occult holidays, go into Google right now, even Google will tell you, yeah, you go into Google right now, you type in occult holidays, days when these people practice the most rituals and all this type of shit. It will tell you that Halloween is one of them, and one of the main ones, one of the main days where they really go kind of all out, you know, for their, you know, their celebrations and their rituals and their practices. So again, it
shows you what crazy world we're living in.
It's some negative. What I'm saying is just negative. It's just they've got people giving their energy towards negativity, towards wickedness. You know what I mean? And it's sad that people just don't ever like question anything. Like, I think that's the hardest thing for me to kind of accept, the fact that a lot of people just don't ever. I think today there's a lot more people awake and kind of aware of shit than ever before. But at the same time, there's still so many people out there that are just...
What is Halloween actually celebrating? I don't know. What is it?
Mate,
what is it? At the end of the day, what is it all?
Well,
I don't know.
Isn't it to do with the old... I can't remember what it's to do with, like, the vicar, the wick man or something, isn't it? Like, I can't remember what it's to do. It's like, basically, they used to do trick or treat, and it was like this thing of basically they would mark your house to say whether or not you were safe or you were unsafe.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what it was. I think initially, there's like, again, some like what I'm talking about though is these Halloween and this type of shit is the days that these people that are doing negative shit and strange behavior, absurd, depraved shit. These are the days that these people are doing it. Sacrificing all sorts of shit, you know what I mean? And doing weird shit, you know? And then people just give all their energy into it, you know? Yeah. Sad.
I mean, it's like, most people work, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying to earn a living in whatever job they're in.
Yeah.
And then most people shut down at Christmas time. 2 weeks, you know, if they can, if you sort of mean, you know, and everyone's off that time, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's silly really, I can't, you know, sometimes I can't work it all out, you know, it's like that shutdown, you know, they shut most of the shops down then.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean, you know, and it's like, okay, we're shut down, right, now families can stay together Christmas time, don't they, you know, it's quite a nice time, and that's why everyone's happy, you know, because they're not at work, you know, doing the normal thing, that it's the time to get together at family, you know, and it's really quite weird when you think about it, because we only do it once a year for 1 week, you know, get together as a family, you know, we kind of not doing school, not going to work, you know, we're all home together.
Well, it depends on your occupation again too, though.
Of course,
because
you know, but most people, I'm saying, most people are at home, you know, and they have big family gets together normally, you know, sort of like it's the only chance they get, because you know, I know some people can't, you know, but generally they do get a little bit of holiday. You know, it's a time that people come together as a family,
which is beautiful, which is very nice.
You see your mum and everyone, you know. But let's say not everyone's got a family, you know, and they get kind of lost at this time, you know, because they're on their own a bit. You know, there's a lot of loneliness this time of the year, you know. So I know some people are celebrating it, New Year's Eve and all this, and going away, you know, and excited, you know. But there's some people that are completely opposite to that, you know. They don't enjoy it whatsoever, you know, because they've got no one to love anymore, nobody loves them anymore, you see what I mean? So I think it's got, you know, depends who you are, if you want to celebrate it, if you see what I mean. I mean, personally, do I celebrate? Like I celebrate every day. You know, I sort of like wake up tomorrow and I think, I'm going to enjoy this day, you know, and I'm going to try to do as much as possible, really, and that's my attitude, and that's that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, New Year's Day, you know, I put my arms up to it because everyone's off that time, you know. But I don't kind of believe in it all in a funny way, you know. I just sort of believe in celebrating every day. I just sort of think it's silly that everyone just celebrates a little bit of time in their lifetime. If you see what I mean.
I completely agree with you, mate. I think you should celebrate and give thanks every single day that you're alive, you know. Right now, we got all these, like, okay, there's people living in countries right now that don't know whether or not they're going to wake up tomorrow, whether or not them and their family is going to have a bomb or some kind of drone drop on their house, if you see what I mean, and murder all of them, you know what I mean. And you've got people that are walking through the streets right now in certain places, seeing dead bodies everywhere, and limbs and parts, human body parts scattered everywhere, and all sorts of shit, you know what I mean. You've got people that are living in some of the worst, dire circumstances imaginable to mankind, that are, you know, no one would want, you know, anyone that witnesses such things, you know what I mean, that's never experienced anything like that or completely oblivious to those things, can have no choice but to empathise, because it's just so horrific, which, you know, some circumstances that some people right now are currently living in 2023. So if you're blessed enough to be living in a country where, you know, you've got a roof over your head, you've got food in the cupboards, you've got some, you know, your bills are paid, and you've got some money behind you, and, you know, you've got your family and shit, like, what are you complaining about? Like, you know, like, give thanks, you know, you're alive, you've got everything that you need to survive and to have a good life and to kind of enjoy your life, you know. You might have to work like everyone else, but that's just part of life, you know, everyone has to work in some way, shape or form. So, you know, just give thanks that you're alive and just make the most of it every single day. Like, that's why, like, even when I get up every single day, I say, like, I am grateful, I am thankful, I am appreciative, you know. Give thanks for another day, like, say some affirmations, like, just be grateful, like, you know, because life is a privilege, you know. It's a blessing, you know. You know, before we all know it, you know, like, we're going to cease to exist, and eventually people will forget about us, whether it be family, friends, whatever. And even if you leave a reputation behind, even if you leave some kind of legacy behind, within a certain amount of years, whether it be 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, eventually people are still going to forget about you, you know. So, yeah.
Well, I'm celebrating today.
Yeah.
Because I saw my daughter again. You know what I mean? You know. Yeah. I know that I've spoken about my family in previous episodes. So I kind of share my story a little bit. But for the last 20 years, you know, I found it very difficult Christmas, you know, because I've been completely deprived from my children, you know. My ex-wife stopped me seeing my children, basically. Until then, stopped seeing me, and me stopped, you know, basically brick wall in between us, basically. Told not to see each other for 20 years now, you know.
Yeah.
And I wanted a Christmas with them, you know. And it's been pretty sad, really, every Christmas that's gone past for my family, really, you know, because we're missing my children, you know, and they're missing me too, in kind of way, you know. And last week, my daughter just walked around, you know, she's 25 now, and it's healing me now, you know, because I know where she is, and I feel like I'm going to have, you know, sort of like a, you know, I'm looking for this year, really.